So, huge congratulations passing the PMP. How are you?
You. I am relieved,
Really?
very relieved. It had been, I only started speaking to you in, I think, March,
Yeah.
and I started the train, like I did the 35-hour training course in November, but this had been in my head for about 4 years.
Wow. But you made it, so I'm so proud of you. I mean, very well done, very well done. And how was the exam in terms of, the test strategy? We talked about going with the 60 questions and then how much time we allocated into that. Was like exactly how we planned it?
No. Yeah, well, yes, but also no.
Yes or no? Okay. Yeah, tell me
So
more.
there were three sets of 60 questions. But it just the time for the first set of 60, I found the first 60 questions really difficult.
Hmm.
Um, and then my time just exploded over the first 60. It took me about 1 hour, 15 minutes, I think.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because there were some questions that I know you had always said don't leave questions blank, but I had read it so many times. I'd read the answers so many times. And I was like,
Hmm.
I just don't know. So I flagged it. And then when I got to the end, I was over the time, that I think it was 90 minutes, we'd said
Yeah, yeah, we said that, with the
questions.
first 60, just trying to complete it in 90 minutes.
Um, so I had to go back to maybe like 10 that I had
Mhm.
flagged and just read them again. Try to like by that stage, like try to calm down a little and then
Mhm.
try to be logical and read them again, but still then had to obviously answer them because I was so concerned about the time because I was like, I still
Yes.
have 120 questions to go.
Okay.
Um, so one thing that I I didn't like, which I mean, it happened and there was nothing really you could do about it. But when I left for my 10-minute break and came back, the uh exam
Yeah.
person, I can't think of the name right now, she had to come in and put her password in
Okay.
to unlock the computer and start the test again. But as soon as she put in her password, the clock started ticking. So
Oh, okay.
I was standing behind her at
Mhm.
that time. So then I had to sit down and weird things. I don't know if anybody like might be useful for somebody, but I had to
Yeah.
set the screen up. I had to take my glasses off, make sure I could, read, set everything out again to get ready to go. So it wasn't a lot of time wasted, but it was
Oh,
for
yeah.
me
Another 5 minutes you need to
time
take.
I could have used, it was maybe like 2.5 minutes or something. But even at the
I think
end,
the
that
check in terms of the glasses and stuff. So that's something which is normal. They're doing it for every case.
well,
Uh,
no, it was for me for my sight so that
oh, for
I
yourself.
had to move the screen and then I had to readjust the seat and make sure, I got the
Oh,
correct
okay, okay.
comfortable position for me to sit in. Not a massive deal, but just something I didn't expect.
Mhm. And what
I
about the second set of 60? That the questions were
so
that easier or?
second set did seem easier. So the first set, I was like, if I hadn't have paid so much money for this, I would be leaving
Mhm.
right now because it was horrible. The second set and the third set were much easier questions. Still not easy.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get any diagrams. I didn't get any drag and drops. I didn't get
Oh,
any at all. Every
wow.
single
Okay.
question was maximum 3 lines even.
Oh, okay.
There
Mhm.
were no questions that were super long, which I
Mhm.
guess was good as well because I didn't have time to read it. But it just seemed that they were just asking a question and they just, there was no
Mhm.
wiggle room to try to be like, well, maybe it's this. It was just like, "Oh, here's your
Wow.
question. What's the
And
answer?"
did you finish earlier with
No,
your or just on time?
just on time. I
Just
could have had more time to review. So by the last set of questions, I had flagged maybe three or four
okay.
and had enough time to go back and check those. But the last one was kind of like, mm,
Just on time.
just did it as and then it disappears. You don't even have a chance
Wow.
to do it. So yeah. But yeah, it's done.
Then you fill the feedback form. They said, okay, thank you for finishing the exam. You
Yep.
stand up, you went outside, and they give you the preliminary report. And
Right.
how?
So
What?
actually what happened, you had told me this last week. And there was this young guy, and he must have been like in his early 20s. So he went to get it and then he came back and he asked me what my name was and I confirmed my name and he was like, well, here you go, Joanne Galloway, project manager. You passed. And I was like, what? Because I genuinely,
Hmm.
honestly did not expect it. But yeah, so there we go.
Wow, this is amazing.
I
Congratulations. And in terms of the results, you get any above targets or just
yeah,
everything was
I
just you?
got so that's so I booked the test on the Saturday and I did the test the following Saturday.
Hmm.
And as I explained to you, it was due to availability, not because that's how I wanted that to go.
Hmm.
So I spent last week, the last week going over the 49 processes, the plans, the documents, and I made
Hmm.
my own spreadsheet based on information you had and Ricardo's uh,
Uh,
diagram that he had.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I made my own spreadsheet so that I was able to go through the processes and put what document was the output of that and the plans and all this
Mhm.
that I still have that spreadsheet, which I find really helpful because right, but I got to the exam center 60 minutes early and I
Right.
sat and I was able to fill in your blank 49
Ah, very
processes.
good. Very
I
good.
filled it in. And
Hmm.
to me, I was like, well, that's success right there because I'd struggled with that for so long. But I just revised that and then agile. So I got above target in process and people.
Hmm.
And process had always been the one where I had got the lowest
Hmm.
grade. And then I got target in business environment.
Business environment. Oh, I know that. I think that is fine because the business environment is the smallest. So, but wow, that's good, and I'm glad you were able to map down the 49 processes. That's I would say almost like an achievement on its own. But yeah, it's definitely something which helps on the exam just to clarify, where you are in the waterfall process, what comes after what, and that is just simply helping with the questions and answering them correctly. So that's amazing. And then, looking back, so you mentioned, the PMP was a long-standing goal. Then you started the 35 hours. Then you joined the 8 weeks one-on-one. So how does that make all the difference with the roadmap, with the study plan and stuff?
Oh, it gave me a roadmap and a study plan.
Hmm.
Because before, and I think I said to you before as well, like I tried to get the 35 hours through a Udemy course, doing
Yeah,
it on my own.
yeah.
And like the difference between being able to sit and fill out your
Hmm.
empty process form and thinking back to 3 years ago,
Hmm.
reading about scope and all and I was just, I remember going, I'm never going to be able to do this. None of this is clear.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So having all this opportunity to talk to you
Hmm.
with your experience and do the 1 hour Friday classes that I was joining,
Yeah, the
getting
group
all
class,
that
the
documented
PMP
people.
operating group class.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just having all that, having the exposure to all of that was
Hmm.
what I needed. Yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Okay. In terms of the questions, I mean, what we practiced before and what you also practiced before, I mean, on the exam, they're in a similar difficulty or they were just, I don't know, on a different level because you mentioned the first 60 was challenging, but on my opinion, they are always challenging because we're going in lots of, test anxiety, is it a real exam now? You're reading things, 4 or 5 times than normally you read something just once. But the questions were more difficult.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Even the most difficult ones that I had done your challenging questions
Yeah. Hmm.
on the PMBOS. I'd done those and I was like, oh, actually, I feel
Hmm.
quite confident with those. When I walked out of that exam, I was confident in maybe a third of
Hmm.
my. But what did help, especially because I was so concerned with time,
Yeah.
was your mindset
Hmm.
list. So being able, knowing the processes and the document and all that
Hmm.
so well, but then also having that like mindset list in the back of my mind as well, that when it came down to the last like 15 minutes, it
Awesome.
really was a read the question, do I know this answer? Not really. And it always came down to two
Hmm.
choices. There was
Yeah.
always two that were just automatically like, nah. Um, and then there were two. So it came to, okay, let's work through this list. And is it
Yeah.
da da da? So
Did
that
you
was
also
really,
use the strike through and the underscore option on the exam on the software just
I
to?
did actually. Yeah, I loved that. That was good fun. Maybe that's I wasted too much time doing that, but it did come in.
Well,
It
I
was
don't
fun.
think so because if you look back, so you passed the exam, so like no, technically nothing was wasted in the end. But
But I
yeah, I
do.
think that's
I
amazing.
remember like your voice in the back of my mind whenever I started reading the question. It's like, is it agile? Is it waterfall?
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
stage are we at? So all the practice questions, all of it was, it's all, you're right. Like it works. It's all very helpful. So thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So thank you very much for that, kind feedback as well. And now, you become a PMP. That's a great feeling. Hope you had a big party as well. And please make sure you're collecting the PDOs to ensure that you never have to re-examinate yourself because
I
this
know,
exam will
right?
be just more and more
Never
difficult
have to
looking
do that
forward.
again.
But that's something I would say some extent very easy. You can connect with the local PMI chapter, and they're always having some events. So technically, very easily, within I think 24 months, you can get all the PDOs which is needed out there. So it's going to be fun. All right.
Yeah. All
So
right.
thank you very much for that feedback, and yeah, hope there will be another party as well during this weekend. Yeah.
Well, I'll be on holiday with my family soon, so we'll have another
Oh
celebration.
yeah, that's good. And then maybe all the study notes you either give it to someone else or you can burn it by the next barbecue. Amazing feeling. All right. Thank you very much.
All right.